Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Okay, so the photo I have here is a title. No, I don't have a title. It's a photo of, well, it's taken in the day in the summer. They're like black-eyed Susans. There's some grasses. It's like a garden. There's a low kind of cottage with something growing, like a kind of it's like a green roof. So there are like grasses or something growing on the roof. There's a flag. Is that Denmark? Danish flag?
There's a Norwegian flag and a Welsh
flag. Right. Norway. Okay. What am I looking at, Brent?
That was when people ask me what I did last summer, I say nothing practical.
Nice.
I live on the farm my great-grandparents homesteaded, and there was an old barn there that was torn down, but there was a cornerstone where he had chiseled 1897 into it when he built the barn.
Oh, wow.
And I thought I needed to do something with that, so I made a writer's shack out of it. I built a stone wall and got some timbers for a roof. And a couple of years ago, we spent some time in the Faroe Islands, and I saw a building with that color scheme with a grass roof and red trim and black siding, and I was just smitten by it. Mm-hmm. So I tried to recreate that here.
Yeah. No, it's great. So, like, again, I have to point out that if people want to see the photo, I mean, it's a podcast, so people can't, like, to see them, they have to go to the website or they have to go to YouTube. So the photo is of this writer's shack, I guess. White door, brown, dark brown sort of walls. So I come from the world of writing, right? My first degree was in creative writing, so I know that world. You're a writer. You go into little like rooms of your own to craft your work. Is it purely journalism, or do you also write books? Like what's that about?
I've got 8 published books.
Oh, nice.
4 collections of essays, a memoir, and 3 novels. And to make it even more complicated, one of the novels is a genre thriller. One is a kind of post-apocalyptic guide, mm-hmm. And the third one is an alternative history, where the working title was A Happy Ending for the World.
Nice.
I was trying to fix the world I'm living in, and I just had to go back 1,000 years in order to set it on the right track.
Okay. So Brent, like, did you grow up in Minnesota?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I've lived here my whole life.
But got to Faroe Islands.
I've filed stories from 20-some countries on 6 continents.
What? Wait. What? Okay. So you get sent to different places, like in China.
Yep.
To file stories?
Yep.
Is this for
magazines, yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, I'm a lucky man. There's no getting around it.
So how did you fall into journalism? Like, did you study journalism? Like, what's that all about?
You know, this is a little embarrassing because I have absolutely no credentials to be a writer.
Nobody needs them. You speak the language, you write the language. That's it. It's enough.
And when I was about 40 years old, I just woke up one morning and said, I'm going to take a whack at this.
What?
And yeah. That's just the truth.
That's amazing. So when you're 40, you decide I'm going to be a journalist.
Yeah. I'm I'm always a little. I'm blushing as I sit here, but that's just the truth. I mean, that's what I did, and I went to our local newspaper and said, and keep in mind, this is a county with 5,000 people. So there was only, a few thousand readers. And I said, Lois, you and I are the only ones who know this, but I think I'm a writer. And then after I wrote for her for a while, I went to a larger entity and said, well, I'm a newspaper columnist. And I said, I'll write for you for free for 6 months. And at the end of that time, you'll like my work so much, you'll want to start paying me. And my editor, a woman named Sherry Zagurski, who's still my editor, wrote me after 3 months and said, our fiscal year starts in January, so can we start paying you 2 months early? And
Oh, nice.
yeah, it
Nice.
was great.
You've blown my mind. Okay, so you just decided I'm going to start writing. So what world of is it any kind of journalism, any kind of stories, human interest, or is it like farming? Like what's the
The title of my column, I've had a weekly column for 30 years now.
holy shit.
So 1700 columns.
Wow.
And the title of it is Independently Speaking, which means I really just write about whatever the hell I want.
Nice.
Sometimes it's my grandchildren, sometimes it's ducks, sometimes it's politics. It just depends upon what I decide to do that day.
Okay, so part of my little thing is, we all get a bucket of seconds in our lives, and we don't really know where we're going to end up and how do we spend those seconds. In your case, you're like, I think I'm a writer. And then you're like, okay, let's see if I am. And for whatever reason, your destiny or whatever goes in that direction, which brings you to all these countries, which is just astounding. So let's get to know who you were as a kid. Like, did you write ever? Like, what is it? Because writing is creative expression, right? It's actually expressing thought. I mean, did you do anything in that way before?
This is a story I tell if I'm in a classroom, teaching a writing class. When I was 12, I started writing a novel.
Mm.
And when I got into it, like 15 pages, I showed it to my parents. And then later that day, I was coming down the stairs in our house and I heard them in the kitchen around the corner, and they were kind of making fun of it. They were joking about it between just the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
After I became a father myself, I realized that if you can't laugh at your kids with your spouse, you're going to lose your mind.
Right.
They didn't mean anything by it, and they certainly didn't mean for me to hear it. But I heard it, and I was just crushed.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't write anything again till I was
shit.
40.
What?
Yeah. So I didn't write anything for any sort of publication.
Wow.
So that's why I tell kids, you got to hang in there. You've got to, if you're going to be a writer, you have to let people read what you've written, and you have to listen to their advice. And most importantly, you have to know when to ignore that advice.
Even if it's your parents. Yep. Got it.
Yep.
I'm astounded. Okay, so I'm assuming you have a book. Or
yes.
Let's promote one of your books. What's a book title that we want to promote?
The book I'm pushing right now, because I think it may be as good as I can write. It's called Between the Helpless and the Darkness.
Okay.
And it's the alternative history where I changed the path of an arrow by an inch 1,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I transform the world we are living in today.
I love that idea. I love it.
Okay, so there was a Norwegian king called Harald Hardrada, and he was killed at the Battle of Stamford Bridge in 1066, trying to conquer England. And he was really an incredible man. I mean, he had spent time as the bodyguard of the Byzantine emperor in Constantinople, and he had this amazing life. And he was just consumed by ambition and everything else that a king is. And I went, well, what if this guy wasn't killed at Stamford Bridge? And he still had all these immense capabilities and qualities, but the ambition and the avarice and everything else was kind of burned out of him by this humiliation. So I put him and his followers on boats to Iceland and then to Nova Scotia, where they are the people who make the first contact with the First Nations here in America. And it's more collegial. It's more back and forth. It's more equal. and that sets the tone for the entire continent.
Wow. That just a little ambitious, maybe, right, Brent? Just a little.
Well, you have to, you can't let common sense get in the way of your ambitions. I'm just saying.
So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So, if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.